Hey, Honest community. Before we dive into this episode, we've got a quick free favour to ask. If you enjoyed the Honest Property podcast, please hit like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're listening from. It helps us grow, reach more people, and bring on guests that you want to hear from. Thanks for being a part of this. We appreciate you more than you know.
Hello, and you're listening to the Honest Property Podcast with your hosts, Becky and Ruth. And we're the Honest Property Sisters. We've built a multi-million pound property portfolio over the last 12 years, and we like to have unfiltered chats about building wealth, purpose, and a freedom that actually feels good. And today we are going to be talking in this episode about why money feels harder at every stage of life. So I want to say, like, we are in our 30s, and I would also like to say that I think we've experienced quite a lot in our life already, considering that we already started investing in our early 20s. So yes, may not have lived our 50s, 60s, 70s yet, but we can definitely um, have an opinion on what we've seen from the people who have lived those stages of life that we've witnessed. Money is supposed to feel easier than now. So you think that when you get to a different stage of life, you expect more stability and more control and less stress. But sometimes it can just feel a lot tighter and more uncertain, especially with the economy that's happening right now. Feels like we're in World War III. And what's interesting is that when you first move out of your home, or when you start earning more, or when you're thinking about buying, or when you start investing, those feelings don't disappear at all. It just changes. That I think over time, when you go through different life stages, you just learn to adapt. What would you say, Becky?
I think it just never ends, and that's the big realization that everybody comes to. Um,
Spoiler.
yeah, that is basically the main thing. It never ends, and it's like meant to be that way. So that's the biggest relief that we can share instantaneously. Excuse me, by the way, if you hear meowing in the background, there is a little kitten that has taken to us, and he keeps yelling. So if you hear big meows or purrs, that's what that is. He's very sweet, but he doesn't know when someone's recording. Um, but yeah, I think we sped through a lot of stages because we did so much in our 20s. So we hit all the hurdles that you will inevitably hit just at a faster pace. And you just have a million thoughts running through your mind every time you hit a new one because nobody explains the like emotions that will come each time.
Yeah.
So, well, in our 20s, you're deciding whether you want to pay for accommodation for uni. That is a big financial decision. You're deciding if you even want to pay for uni. Um, that's a big financial decision. The course that you do, will determine potentially the kind of job and income you're going to get later.
Yeah.
So it's making these big decisions make you feel like, am I providing myself that stability? Am I giving myself the control that I want? Is this option going to give me less stress? But it is just different at every level.
Yeah. So as your life grows, your money decisions grow with it. There's also something called hedonic adaptation. So
Mm.
you quickly adjust to whatever your new normal is. So
Yeah.
research from the OECD, if I said that right, shows that increases in income don't create long-term increases in happiness. You just reset your baseline. So you keep moving the goalpost. So if you're thinking, why doesn't this feel better at this stage of life? A lot of people are in that situation and they feel like that too.
Mm.
Because I mean, what Becky said when we were at university, I now go, thank God we didn't get a higher loan, considering what's happening right now.
We both made the choice not to pay for accommodation, and I'm really glad we saved on it. Like,
We
I
stayed
think it
at
was,
home. We
yeah,
worked the family business. That saved us a lot of money on accommodation. In situations where I have friends who, left to go, you don't know what you don't know. And obviously there's more. what's it? There's the trade-off, which is having to pay like a huge student loan now, but they wouldn't have had those experiences by leaving the nest too. So,
Mm.
but and I'd say in my situation, I am really grateful that I didn't, I stayed at home so that we didn't have such a hefty loan. Thank God.
Mm. Mm. Well, it would have been a lot more, it would have cost a lot more now than when we were at uni.
Yeah.
They tripled the cost, didn't they? Anyway, besides that, we also started a business. So then there's figuring that out. And you're meant to move out by the time well, in the Western world, usually people try and see if they can move out by the time they're 18. Um,
So let's just start that again. That's early adulthood, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So what is the thought that you're thinking when you're in early adulthood?
How do I afford life? It's survival, isn't it? How do I get my freedom and survival at the same time? You just think of all those students who are eating pot noodles so they can afford a night out, and the social
My
pot
friend,
pay their bills.
my friend used to just eat tin beans for months.
Wow. What happens to her health for it? I think beans are quite nutritious, but
Protein.
like carbs and protein in a bean, but I don't think the sugar or salt in the sauce would have been too great.
I
I
think
had
it
a
was like as does own brand finest.
I had of a guy who just lived on porridge and he got scurvy.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, you learn how to
yeah.
survive, what to prioritize. Eventually, you realize your health is pretty important, some sooner than later. Yeah, how do you balance trying to get your freedom and your survival?
And try
And
and enjoy life.
yeah, and especially in a part of the world where it costs so much to exist, um, you're living really paycheck to paycheck at that phase of life, and that's when your scarcity thinking shows up. Um, and we've got a note here that says research in behavioral economics shows when money is tight, it reduces your mental bandwidth because all you can really think about is making,
Paycheck to paycheck.
yeah.
So how are you going to get through to the next month, to the next month, to the next month? When you don't have that financial stability, you just don't have the capacity to even have time to think about your future at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've ever been in a position where you're avoiding checking your bank account, you're getting stressed over a really small purchase and you've just felt on edge
Or
all
you're
the
over,
time.
or you're getting into a habit of, because I remember at university when we started our business and we were working part-time with the family business and we're studying, you feel like stretched everywhere. So to be able to find joy in life so that you can go out with your friends and like live normal life or wanting to be normal, I'm talking about me personally because I really wanted to fit in. You
Mm.
end up spending on like, as soon as you get that money from your job, you're spending it on anything that's going to make you feel quickly good because
Oh
that's the
yeah.
only thing that. So I get why, like, if you don't have a lot of money and you're in a scarcity mindset, you end up getting rid of it so quickly because you're just trying to feel good about the situation that you're in. When you have more stability in your income, you don't think so much about spending on like something that's going to give you a quick high because
Yeah, that's
you
true.
are a lot more mindful of going, oh, do I really need that? That could actually go into this investment, or I can save it for a rainy day. You're not so like quick reaction about anything.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about from my experience as
I
a
think there's also
20-year-old.
there's a bit of a predatory businesses will be like student discount for stuff, and it makes you feel like, oh, I'm getting it for a bargain. Why don't I just buy it then? Or
Yeah,
subscribe to the thing then? And you probably never really needed it.
no.
So yeah, what's stage two? So you finished all that, you're building your life now. And the thing that a lot of
When
people
does that
fear,
even start? When does that even start? The stage two? Because I feel like everyone starts at like people who didn't go to university started that stage of life earlier because they
yeah,
went straight into a
I think
job.
Literally, the moment you start leaving the formal education system, it's like, what line now are you on? The line is gone now.
Yeah.
Whereas there was a strict curriculum before, so it's like by this age, you need to understand this or do this or have achieved these very niche things. But after that, it's kind of up to you. So I've had friends who didn't even bother going to uni, and their life looks like everyone's life looks like a totally different, has panned out totally different ever since. But there's nothing, it doesn't stop you from feeling like I should be further ahead because there is still a template that exists for people, which is like getting married, having
Buying a house.
2.3 kids, buying a house. That pressure still exists. Um, and then if you have room to think about it, thinking about investing. So it's not really survival anymore like it used to be. It's just a lot more pressure.
Mm.
So you're more likely to be earning more than before. But there's a stat here that says the Federal Reserve has found that even higher earners still feel financially insecure, largely because of comparison.
Yeah. Which is heightened with social media.
Hmm.
This is where people get stuck because they can't move forward because they're constantly keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Just because you have a higher salary doesn't necessarily mean that you keep a lot of the margin. You
Mm.
could be spending a lot of it just to keep up, trying to look rich. And I know we've talked about this before in several episodes in the past, but it doesn't matter how much you earn, it's how much you keep. And
Mm.
if your margin of what you keep gets smaller and smaller, that's something to really reflect and look at. Earning more tends to mean I guess in a traditional sense, earning more tends to mean more responsibility and so much more on your plate. Do you even have the bandwidth to have the time to be able to do that? If you care about having more time to pursue more create tap in more into your creativeness, then does working more to earn more money but still buying more actually is not going to give your time back. But you can be someone who is earning less but spends less and have more time. So
Yeah.
I just want to say that it's a facade to assume that just earning more necessarily means that you keep more in your pocket. It doesn't if you are spending largely on keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm. So stage three is responsibility and stability. So you've acquired the things that you think you need to acquire by this point, and those things are very,
So this is the stage we're at now. I would assume what I'm personally in right now. So we've passed our 20s, we're in our 30s now.
mhm,
And this tends to be when people start getting a mortgage with a house that they live in, if you can afford one these days. And kids, if you can afford one these days. Supporting your family
because they haven't thought about it.
because they haven't thought about it. Or just a lifestyle you've built, which is expensive because of inflation. Sorry, this is not to be doom and gloom at all. We're just like trying to be really real. Um,
Right.
I mean, all of it is completely possible, but it means there are trade-offs
I
in
think
making
we're
it
just
work.
we're just trying to show that it's if you're feeling this way at all, it's not just you. A lot of people feel this way, and it feels like you're never off of it because it just changes all the time.
But also in your 30s, this is like, I think, quite a big life pressure because it's not back in the day where people used to get married in their 20s and then like do a fixer-upper home that they live in for a really long time until they retire and then sell it and then downsize and like follow like working in an office or a factory. And then like we're in a completely different age of time now where that just doesn't exist anymore. More people rent now. less people are having children. Like we don't have a retirement plan to support the fact that we don't have enough children in the world. And and people are supporting their families too, but also trying to have a career. It's the everything is completely changed. So no wonder if people at this stage of life, I feel like it's like millennial stage of life right now feels heavier.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure about the kids to um, front the aging generation thing. I don't know statistically enough about that. But yeah, it's about can I protect what I have with what I've built, really, isn't it? At this point,
Yeah.
can you build like maybe the emergency funds are on your radar now? Your fixed costs actually don't stay fixed; they go up because of inflation. Um, um, and that's now the experience of fear. And this is really true. This piece of research from someone called Daniel Kahneman shows we feel losses about twice as strongly as gains. So I don't know if you've ever been part of a scam or have you been a victim of a scam. Sorry for another day. But when someone takes something from you, it hurts that you feel it. It's so true. You feel it so much more than when you just earned it. I say seek vengeance every time, but anyway, different story. So, yeah, even when things look like they're going well because you've got all the things happening, you do just feel the downside a lot more. So, stage 4 is growth, investing, and options. Basically, what should I actually do? And this is a point where you've built a stage where you can build wealth because you've got um, resources available to you to put into investing in things like property, maybe build a business, have multiple income streams. Ruth and I, we were doing this when we were in our 20s, so we were already hitting stage 4 early.
Okay. That's why it felt like a lot of responsibility. But we will say, because we were at that age, we hadn't left home yet, which was so that's like complete transparency is that we then didn't have to pay for a mortgage and like, you know, we by staying at home, we were able to achieve these things. So
Yeah.
your timeline may look different.
Yes, and I think that's also part of the point, isn't it? Like everyone's timeline is different. These are just the stages aren't linear, obviously, but they are things you'll feel at some point. Then you reach a stage where you can build your wealth, and people expect this to feel all exciting, but it's often, more often than not, just really overwhelming because you're wondering, okay, which path is right? So if I'm going to invest in something, should I put it in stocks and shares or in property or into someone's business? If I'm going to start a business, what business should I start? What if I choose the wrong thing? Okay, if I'm am I living in the right place? Should I wait or move now? And it's mostly that this feeling in this stage is decision fatigue.
Mm.
You've got opportunities, you just have way too many without clarity in what is the right fit for you.
What do you think is the cause of that?
It's a lot of information. I think it's good to have a lot of information, but no one has the
Resources to be able
skills
to
navigate them.
yeah.
Yeah, to figure out actually what is the reality of what this is going to look like in terms of the life I truly want to live, and figuring out what is the life you truly want to live first. No
Mm.
one, like, few people rarely practice this. So it's like you could think in terms, because this is a property channel, in terms of property and shameless plug here, Honest Property Masterclass is coming in. This is what this part is all about because we've seen so many people burned by thinking, okay, if I just get 30 properties and each property is going to give me £500 and all my problems are solved. No, because it depends on the strategy. Do you know what your day-to-day life is going to look like if you have 30 properties? It's not that simple. Investing is so personal.
And also, not everyone wants to be like, I think it's still important to invest in multiple different asset classes like property, but not every single person wants to be some property tycoon and like be like, that's what social media shows, that that's like the only route if you buy one property, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that's the facade that shows up on social media, that people think that like that's what they're supposed to be like.
Do you know how many DMs we get? And they say, what project are you working on now? And it's like, do you assume we're constantly working on a project? Perhaps we've got to a point where we've got enough and we're happy with what we've got.
And we're looking after our tenants.
Yeah. Like, do you think people are like, this is a new rat race then, that people are going to just keep acquiring things for the sake of acquiring it? Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
not, Ruth and I know we're property sisters, but you've also shamelessly said, like, it's a tool. I'm like, we're not that excited about bricks and mortar. We are happy that it provides a home for someone else, a legacy and income for us as well. Like it's just a tool, but our passions are more in creative things or being there for our family.
I agree.
Before we continue, here's a quick thought. Ever feel like there's just never enough time to focus on what really matters in your business? You don't have to do it all alone. As they say, a great team makes everything easier. That's why we've partnered with the Freedom Geek. Their talented Filipino VAs help us with tasks like admin and podcast editing, just like for this episode, giving us the freedom to focus on what really moves the needle. If you're looking to reclaim your time and to work smarter, then check out the Freedom Geek. All the details are in the show notes. Now let's get back to our conversation.
Money is hard at every stage, and this is actually something that I talked to, who was it? I think multiple people who are a lot older than us. I won't name names, but I've talked to several people who have said what it's like to be at different stages, different decades of their life, and that yeah, money feels hard every stage. Your life evolves, your responsibilities grow,
Mm.
aka having kids, if yes or no, or like your business grows, or whatever it is that you decide to put all your energy into. Your decisions carry more weight because there's just more responsibility, and there's no stage where it suddenly becomes easy. I think, the only way that you can find, I think the only way that you can find clarity is like when you've gone through a part of your life where it's felt so difficult. The only thing that I feel gives you clarity when there is so much noise everywhere is just slow down. Even if it means that, even if it means just taking yourself off digitally for a little bit, or you don't need to commit to absolutely every single event, just so that you can sit with giving yourself time to sit with yourself, so that
What do you mean commit to every single event?
like just commit to so many people, like just keep, like I think there's a point where it's like if you're feeling burnt out and feeling like, oh, I have just so much on my plate, I feel like it's just too much, you need time to have time to readdress what's working and what's not. But if you are constantly outputting and or overhearing other people's opinions, you get lost in what it is that you're doing any of the stuff that you're doing for,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. I've been culling my personal Instagram actually of people who I saw a post today and it kind of made me a bit like if this is you, that's totally like your call. But I realized it was time for a purge because it was a reel about this is how much it costs me to like this is how much my day in the life costs. And it was a woman who very financially successful. But from the moment she woke up, she was applying all this stuff to her face, and and putting the price of every single thing that she used there to see. And then her outfit, her gym membership, the coat she wore to get to the gym, the drink after the gym, and then her outfit after, hair tools, makeup. By the end of the day, oh, then her accommodation and everything. Oh, actually, no, she didn't put the accommodation because she said it fluctuates. I don't know why it fluctuates. Maybe she's got an arrangement or something, or like she's sharing it or something. But at the end of the day, the cost of her life, regardless of being a high earner, was $5,000 for a day. I was like, I mean, of course, the creams will last a period of time. But if you put it like that, maybe that's a good exercise, actually, if you're up for trying it. How much does your life cost per day? And makes you really reflect, like, should it be costing this much?
No, but I feel like especially in the wealth space, to show that you are wealthy, or no, not wealthy, look rich.
Yeah.
You
So
have
I,
to
I
keep up with
unfollowed
this.
only because I just didn't want that. Like, I do not want to see things like that and have it made out to be normal. So very much fiercely protective now of what I allow into, because this is saving me from comparison, right? From
Mm,
things that are not important to me. So just really filter, that's a tip. Filter what you allow into your space, absolutely.
what's the word you call it? Where you like reassess? What's the actual word? Like you recull. No, what's the word?
Calibrate? Like,
Yes, I do that every few months, everywhere. Like just
yeah,
with who I must like who I'm absorbing, say, energy from, you know?
yeah. Even
So
music can really
yeah,
mess
even music.
with you. Besides that, know what stage you're in. So one of the biggest causes of stress is trying to act like you're in a different stage when you're not there yet. So for example, you're starting to invest before you're financially stable. That means
Mm.
you've got your emergency fund, your savings account sorted.
And that's desperate investing, which then creates emotional investing, and then you make bad decisions.
Yeah. Scaling before the basics are sorted. Like, are your fundamentals in order before you start adding to the pile?
Mm.
Um, Comparing yourself to people. We've already talked about how you can help that. Um, and get honest. And it's hard in the property space online because most of what you'll see will be people doing big, glamorous projects, but throwing thousands at developments. So I guess like unfortunately the majority of what you'll see, not the day-to-day reality or the outcome that people are actually after because of it.
Mm.
Um, and we've already expressed like successful investors aren't on a constant project. Like they have met their goals. They don't need to you recognize when you don't need to stay on that little hamster wheel, which is also just a different looking wheel, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To get honest where you are, stabilize. If you're stabilizing, if you're building or you're growing. Ruth and I have mentioned in past podcasts that there's a season for everything. So there's acquisition, you're like balancing things, and then there will be a point where you're consolidating and just
Yeah.
creating
The only thing
quality
that you
for the
see online
quantity.
is the acquisition. Everyone
Yeah.
just sees the acquisition because that's the only thing that is exciting.
Yeah,
Whereas
people are
no
excited.
one likes to share all the other stages, which are just as important. Otherwise, if you are a beginner trying to learn about investing, you think that you need to do day trading. You think that you need to be like getting a property every week. Like this is not realistic. And
Yeah.
like I can
Or doing
scream
multiple
about it.
strategies. Like, oh my God. Sorry,
But
that was a
that's
little
what
bit
you see
funny.
online, and I just like that's not the truth.
Yeah. Reduce your fragility. Like on that note, reduce your fragility first. Before you're chasing growth, look at your foundations and ask yourself, how stable is my setup right now? So make sure you've got 3 to 6 months of expenses put away. That's to not be touched. Manageable fixed costs. Are your fixed costs in your life and your business, can they be refined? Are they absolutely what you need? Are there better alternatives? Ruth and I did this not too long ago. For our business, like you could easily acquire tools or subscriptions to make your life easier and then realize you're not really using it. So just get rid then.
Get rid of it, reduce your costs.
Um, and that you've got something that provides you with a form of consistent income. So if you're like a freelancer, find a retainer client, find a contract with somebody who's going to give you regular income. Because, or even with property, if you are just doing flips, you're so dependent on a successful sale of of one of your properties. It might not
Yeah.
happen. Then what are you going to do? It's good to have both.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
See, the more recurring retainer residual income that you can create, the better, because it's
Well,
just
they say
a lot calmer.
it's having when they say like having multiple income streams, like creating that ecosystem where you get the consistent income, some other income from just like different pots. It doesn't have to be just the one. Think about how can I earn money from little bits from what I'm already doing, but
Yeah.
not overstretching yourself either, that it makes it hard to do all of those things.
Mm. And then the third thing you can do is simplify your decisions. If money feels hard, when money feels harder when everything feels like it's a big decision. So you need to think based on you, not like what's the best possible move. Like I would say, for example, a lot of people will run to a property strategy that makes you the most money, that gives you the highest cash flow.
Guilty.
Guilty. You did that.
But we were 20 and impressionable.
Well, we also had the time to do it,
Yeah,
but
we
that
did.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
that's going to be the best thing for you because if you rush to a strategy that require generally the better paying the property, the more effort, energy, and management is going to be required of you to do it.
Like I said, I will say you're right. We did like we rushed into it, but like it was thought out at the same time because we had the time to
Yeah.
do it.
And what is the current reality of that choice? What will be your day-to-day reality of that choice? Um, if you can if you can deal with it and you have an exit plan shortly after because you know it won't be like an ongoing thing for you, then fine. But like this is the kind of thoughts you need to have when you're making these decisions. Not, okay, that's the best, like on paper, that makes the most sense because I'll get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's not a thought out plan.
Um, Before, stop moving your own goalposts. So you hit a milestone. Like some people do this, you hit a milestone and then you shift it. So you get your like back to property again. You get your one property and you're like, yes, now, and then you get used to it and like owning one, and then you feel like you need three, and then you feel like you need 10, 20, 30, 100. And then suddenly nothing feels enough. So you need to start acknowledging your progress. And it's more about being consistent and making sure every decision you're making aligns with the wealth that aligns with the life you want to build for yourself and knowing when enough is enough for you and your family.
And then maybe maybe you like Becky says, you don't have to keep building this portfolio. If you've got to your point where you're like, that's enough, focus on something else. Start a business, like start a different business. Why do you think there are so many people in the property space that do multiple things? It's not just,
Unless your whole personality is property, then you know that's you. But most people are a bit more diverse in their interests. And the point first of investing is to give you the time, location, and financial freedom to pursue the things that genuinely interest you. And the next thing is don't do it alone, because having a second opinion or a space to talk things through, or someone else to sense check your decisions and that they align with you. It's like Bruce was saying to me before we hit record, whether she was denying herself some luxuries, or what she would have considered little luxuries, through lack of feeling deserving of the thing, or whether like she couldn't determine whether she was feeling that she was deserving of the thing, or she was being smart because she was resisting unnecessary expense.
Yeah.
But someone on the outside looking in, if you're really on the fence and they know you well, can tell you, and like they know your goals as well, can
Yeah,
tell
not just,
you.
I would say
Yeah,
don't ask someone who's
living a
just
different
like, yeah,
life.
just get it.
Yeah,
No, you want someone who's really understands you and will be honest.
yeah. So
Not someone who just be like, yeah, just to like make you happy. That's not honest.
yeah. So I said like just ask me if you're ever stuck. Because it is a mental hurdle when you've been so diligent with your money and saving it to invest it. It can be difficult to understand or know when you're allowed to, like when feels good to spend it again. Like that is just another mental hurdle. But we also have the Aligned Wealth Collective as a space where people can come to us and sense check their decisions and make sure it really aligns with them. That's where we're able to support people directly. And then the final thing is focusing on direction and not perfection. So you don't need to have everything. You won't have it. Like it's impossible to have everything figured out.
You can't plan everything in your life. It's just things happen, pandemics happen, so many factors of economics that will happen in your lifetime that will change how, like, the importance of what's important to you in your life. It's the people who feel calm with money aren't doing everything perfectly.
Mm. But they are moving in a direction that fits with the life that they want. So know what that is first. Be consistent. The love of God. Keep it simple. People have a tendency to want to overcomplicate everything. You don't have to overcomplicate every step, because now, well, this is what happened to us. We can obviously only speak from experience, but you have to uncomplicate everything. That's another task that you've given yourself.
Uncomplicate things so that you can then see what your next stage is.
Yeah. So money won't always feel easy, but it can feel far more manageable, far steadier, far clearer, especially when you know other people are also going through these hurdles. And if you ever need to reach out to us and need a second opinion, whatever stage you're at, this is what we do for our lovely community in the Aligned Wealth Collective. So if you just ask us there, like we're here for you. And if this episode felt like you, wherever you are right now, we talk about all the real situations, real decisions properly throughout the Aligned Wealth Collective. The DM us AWC and we'll send you the link to it if you are looking for honest, ongoing support. And yeah, we hope to see you in the next podcast. It's going to be a really good one.